America, we are back, baby. Welcome to another episode of America Unfiltered with James Pascalides. We got a great show for you tonight, everyone. Again, please remember to like, smash the follow button, leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the show. We got a lot of different topics to talk about today, a lot of different things to get into. I want to talk about YouTube finally coming out of nowhere and admitting that Joseph Biden bribed them to take down conservative influencers' videos, to demonetize them, to delete their accounts altogether. We'll talk about that today. We'll talk about their plan to correct this issue going forward. We will also talk about this one is crazy. The president of No New Wars, Donald Trump, is now saying, if you are a Russian plane flying over a single NATO country, you will be shot down. Donald Trump today said to all the members of NATO, when asked by a member of the press, that he wants any Russian plane that flies over through a NATO country to shoot it down. I feel like this is something that could lead to a greater conflict. So we'll talk about that today. We'll talk about Tom Homan possibly getting in trouble over this bribery scandal. It seems like it might get buried, but we'll dive into that today. Tom Homan accepted a $50,000 bribe, it seems like. He did this to say he was going to give them government contracts for this bribe. We'll also talk about the Nick Fuentes, Patrick Bet David podcast that happened today. They did about a 2-hour-long interview they released on almost all platforms. I think everybody should check it out. Very, very good interview. We'll talk about that today. We'll talk about these liberal women as well. Liberal women right now they hate Trump so much that they are damaging their babies possibly. So new studies came out, we've talked about them on this show, that if you take Tylenol when you're pregnant, the chances of your baby having autism is a lot higher. Women are now just downing Tylenol when they're pregnant so they can give the middle finger to Trump. Liberals are so dumb and deranged that they are possibly damaging the lives of their future offspring just to send a message to a guy that they'll never meet. So yeah, we'll talk about that today. We'll also slightly talk about Tucker Carlson's 5-part series about 9/11. Again, I think Tucker Carlson lost a lot of his credibility when he lied about his dad's involvement with the CIA, but it doesn't mean everything he says is going to be untrue, So I really think it's important that we all look into this docuseries that he's doing, that we all pay attention to it, and we all continue to ask questions about 9/11. We've been very lied to time and time again by our government. It's been shown that we cannot trust them. It's very sad that 3,000 people in America lost their lives that day, and we still do not have the real answers. But we'll talk about that today. We'll talk about what I think about 9/11 as well. We'll show some videos at the end of the show. So again, please remember to like, smash the follow button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the show. But we're going to dive right on into things. First thing I want to talk about is YouTube admitting that Joe Biden paid them to censor information. Joe Biden and YouTube obviously had a deal. It was very obvious during the time that Joseph Biden was the president that social media companies, specifically X, YouTube, Facebook, all these social media companies, Instagram, which is owned by Meta and Facebook, but all these social media companies were banning conservative influencers, podcasters, anyone who wasn't posting something that aligned with the president's views at the time. This is a direct violation of our freedom of speech that we are supposed to have, but it seems like we don't. It seems like for years, people were just absolutely silenced. People like Nick Fuentes were taken off social media. Even people like Steve Will Do It, who weren't even political, they were taken off social media. And a large part of it is due to just what their political views were. YouTube is now saying that they're going to allow these people to start making their way back on YouTube. That if you had an account deleted because of denying the election results in 2020, if you had an account deleted for what they called COVID misinformation or just talking about COVID, you can now apply to get it back. I don't know why my volume keeps going down. I just adjusted it. Hopefully that fixes it. I can't figure out how to get this thing working with the volume. But to get back into it, right now in America, it is a very pivotal point in this country when it comes to free speech. We have had the left trying to limit free speech for years, and then recently we had Pam Bondi saying these hate speech laws could be incoming. She then corrected herself, saying that, no, we're not going to target people for hate speech. It's going to be violent speech. But that's already been illegal. So I think she just went a little too far ahead of herself, and she realized she really had to retract that because of how bad it looked. But I think initially that is what they wanted. They wanted to push these hate speech laws through. And a big reason is probably Israel. Israel right now is paying $45 million for their Hezbollah campaign to Google and YouTube to run these ads to get Gen Z more in favor of Israel, because they know they're losing the support of Gen Z, and they're losing it rapidly by the day. Every single day, someone in Gen Z, someone new in Gen Z, sees a video of a war crime that Israel or Netanyahu committed. Every single day, more information is coming out that makes Israel look more and more guilty. Literally, I talked about this yesterday on the show, but Donald Trump and Marco Rubio and Howard Lutnick announced that if you are looking into Netanyahu's war crimes, we will sanction you. If you are investigating war crimes, we will sanction you. Does that seem like a country that actually wants the truth, or does that seem like a country that is owned by another and is trying to bury the truth so that country can commit a genocide? Because right now, Israel is committing this genocide. It's undisputable. I mean, the World Genocide Scholars declared it a genocide, vindicating people like me who have been calling it that for a while. I really hope these people are able to make their way back on YouTube. I'm pretty sure Andrew Tate was one of the ones deleted as well. Obviously, his brother, Tristan Tate. There's a lot of different people who were deleted off YouTube. Jake Shields, too. We need these people to be able to have their voices, have the ability to speak their minds freely and communicate to the masses. If Nick Fuentes had a YouTube channel instead of just a Rumble channel, he would have millions of viewers a night. His videos get tons and tons of views, hundreds of thousands of views. They get, 40,000 live viewers every single night at a minimum. If he was on YouTube, one of the biggest video platform in the world, he would be able to be way more successful. And they've limited that ability for these people. If you're on the right, if you have edgier conservative political takes, if you are in the alt-right, if you wanted to speak about COVID, speak about the election, if you wanted to speak about any of these things, you got banned years ago. You got demonetized. You got your rights to ever make a new YouTube account taken away. Imagine how upset our founders would be at the idea that people are getting their rights to speak taken away. That we got so far in society that we, out of nothing, created computers, created the internet, created social media. A way for people to not just communicate locally, but now they can communicate with anyone in the entire world. Imagine telling our founders that we allowed our government to take the rights of people to speak on those platforms away. Imagine how disappointed they would be. Imagine what they would have done. They would have stood up for themselves. They would have stood up against it. Not to say that people didn't, but they would have really fought against it. In times like these, in times like when they were banning people, in times of uncertainty, a really good thing I like to do is look at what our founders would have done. Look at the intentions of how our founders built this country and think about how they would have handled it. I really don't think they would have took that one sitting down. I'm really glad that they're changing the position. It's about time. I really think that people like Nick Fuentes, people like Andrew Tate, people even like, again, Steve Will Do It, who's not even political, who just got banned off YouTube because he had political views that aligned with the conservative movement. All these people will find a great amount of success if YouTube allows them back on the platform and to speak their minds freely in the way that they do. Nick Fuentes is one of the biggest voices in alt-right conservative politics. He is on this generational run right now. I mean, he just made it on the PBD show, which is a massive win for him, a massive win for the Groypers. A total Groyper victory has been declared, essentially. The generational run is far from over as well. I think he has a few more collabs coming up later this month. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to do another one with Andrew Tate and Myron as well. I remember when they did that long live stream debate, they said they were going to do another one in September. I'm sure it got moved around a little bit because of everything that's been happening with Charlie Kirk. May God rest his soul. But yeah, I hope that one happens again. I hope that we're able to get as many collaborations as possible. We need to get the word of America First out there. We need to keep pushing the America First movement forward. The America First Foundation with Nick Fuentes, the America First movement as a whole. It's very important that we get real America First policies in this country because, as I talk about a lot on the show, we're losing this country in real time. Mass immigration is replacing Americans. Our dollar is worth literally nothing. Like, seriously, my grandparents bought their first house for like $20,000. You need $20,000 for the down payment on a shit house now, like a piece of shit. Actually, I don't know. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers in the real estate market, but I know it's nowhere close to what it used to be. I know right now our country, and my generation specifically, is not able to afford homes. Right now, only 12% of 30-year-olds are married and have homes. That is the lowest it's ever been. And it's not like it has been, 18% or anything even close. Like, it was like 48%. It was like 70% of people in the past. 12%. 12%. In 10 years will be, like sub 8%. This is the wrong trend for this nation. We need to have a full revitalization of America First policies. America First is inevitable. America First is coming back by hell or high water. The young men in this country, the strong men, the most elite human capital in this country will take this country back. We will be in positions of power. We will be in the government. We will be able to get real America First policies through. When that day comes, this country will be essentially saved, hopefully. This country has so many issues, and for some reason our government does not seem to want to focus on Americans. They only want to focus on Israeli citizens, on what's going on with the war over there. They don't seem to want to take care of Americans. They don't really seem to care about anything that has to do with Americans. As long as Israel doesn't like it, it does not matter to them. Like the Epstein thing, completely out the window. No new wars, completely out the window. Most of the things Donald Trump has promised are just going completely out the window. Donald Trump, when liberals made the taco meme, they ended up being right about it. Trump always chickens out. Trump always says one thing and then pussies out and does something else. And that's what he's doing. It's very sad. But I think it's a total win, a total Groyper victory declared officially. I think it's a huge win for Nick Fuentes, for the alt-right, for the America First movement, that all the people banned on YouTube will be allowed back on. Not only will they be able to speak their minds, but they'll be able to get millions of new listeners because YouTube is the biggest platform for videos that exist right now. Spotify does really well too. I love Spotify. YouTube has shadow banned some of my videos even, and it seems like that might stop. Based off the new rules and regulations that they put out there, it seems like the shadow banning for alt-right conservative politics most likely will be gone. So we can only hope and pray that that is true and that YouTube is not lying. We know that Israel paid YouTube $45 million for these ads. There could be some back-end deal as well to censor, demonetize, or shadow ban accounts on the alt-right who still want to talk about the Israel topic. So we'll see if that ends up happening. I talk about Israel. I mean, at this point, I've been talking about it every episode or every other episode because so many different things have been happening. In just our last episode, we talked about how Israel killed 4 Americans, and America is not doing shit about it. They're literally not even mentioning it. Almost no major companies or major media companies have posted about this. There have been like 3 who posted about the fact that Israel killed 4 Americans, and 3 of them were children. 4 American citizens. 3 children gone at the hands of the terrorist nation Israel. And if you don't think they're a terrorist nation, just look at the fact that they're committing a genocide. Terrorists commit genocide, That's what they're doing. They're terrorizing these people. It is so brutal. It is so disgusting, so immoral. Everyone needs to be condemning what they're doing. Everyone needs to be speaking out against it. We need more people speaking out against the Israel lobby because the Israel lobby is super powerful in America. AIPAC literally funds 90% of all the politicians in government. That means 90% of all the politicians in government put Israel over America because they're paid to, because that's what AIPAC pays them to do. They held that private meeting last week where they got the APEC donors together, where they discussed how they can get non-Israel first American candidates out of politics. I talked about how ridiculous that is. You literally, in America, when you break it down piece by piece, you can see how fucking stupid it is. But in America, they want to take politicians who want to put America first and move them to the back of the line. And they want to take politicians who want to put another nation, Israel, over America and move them to the front of the line. And this is the most powerful lobbying group in the country. They pay literally every fucking politician, like I said, 90%, including the president of the United States, Donald Trump, who didn't only just take money from APEC, but he took $100 million from Miriam Adelson. Do you guys really think that Donald Trump is putting America first? Because it does not seem like it in any way. I know most of my viewers don't. But to the people who still do, I want you to look really objectively. I was someone who campaigned, voted for Trump. I was someone who spoke heavily about how positive Trump would be, only to turn my position entirely. And I didn't go to the left side. I actually almost went further right. I think Trump sold out. I think Trump in 2016 stood up there and said, America first will be our credo. Americanism, not globalism. And then what happened? We're literally allowing 600,000 Chinese immigrants. We're allowing hundreds of thousands of ones from India. The only positive thing he's done on immigration so far is this new bump to 100,000 on H-1B visas. But realistically, the deportation numbers are shit and a sham. We have Tom Homan getting on Fox News within the last week saying that the deportation numbers, that there's been over 1.6 million self-deportations, over 2 million deportations total. But when you look at the Department of Homeland Security, who actually records and reports the deportation numbers, it's like 12,000 self-deportations. It's under 1 million total. I think it's like 180,000 deportations total. And that's after we gave them $150 billion, which, again, I supported too. I really want ICE to be funded. I want them to be able to do their jobs and get the illegal immigrants out. And I want us to limit legal immigration. But if we're giving them $150 billion, I expect some fucking results. I expect $150 billion worth of results. I don't want a penny wasted. But the fact that we're literally getting under 200,000 deportations this calendar year so far, and they're telling us that it's over 2 million, do you think we're all fucking dumb? Do you think we can't read? I read the reports. I read it. It's so, I don't know. They just think we're stupid. It's just so crazy. It's crazy they think we're this dumb. It's crazy they think they can get away with it for this long. They have been getting away with it. That's kind of why. There are so many people, and there are so many like Russian bots. There are so many bot accounts on X who literally are paid to push propaganda. So there are so many like if you're a boomer who doesn't understand technology, I talked about how you could show your boomer grandma an AI video and she won't know that it's not real, even if it's the craziest thing in the world. When boomers see these tweets from these accounts and it's like Red Pill X or whatever it is, and that account is actually run by like a Pakistani or like a Chinese person or someone in Russia, like whatever it is, half the accounts on X pushing political garbage on both sides, the left and the right, come from different nations. They come from different lobbying groups. They're paid to post these things. They're not even real people most of the times. But boomers don't get that. Boomers read these things and they're like, holy shit, it's real. This random fucking account I know just posted that Hillary Clinton has 6 toes, 49 teeth, and she's a vampire who sucks blood at night. Like, boomers just see that and they're like, oh my god, it's real. I swear they're the most retarded fucking generation ever exist. Maybe at a point in time they weren't, but when it comes to technology, people need to understand, if you don't have a good sense of technology, if you're not well adapted to it, you are just dumber than everyone who is, because that's the world we live in. We live in a technological society. If you don't know how to navigate the internet, mass communicate on social media, market on social media, if you don't know how to speak well and speak clearly and efficiently to people, you are dumber than the rest of society. And people just need to keep improving these skills. It's not to say you're irredeemable if you don't have these qualities as well. You can always hone your craft, work on your skills, improve yourself, and everyone should be doing that. But boomers really struggle with this. I mean, more than anybody, they really struggle with adapting to technology. And it's not even just the boomers. It's like the 50-year-olds, the 60-year-olds. I don't even know specifically. I think boomers like 70-something or like late 60s and up. But it's like 50-year-olds. It's like, my parents are fucking terrible with technology. It's actually embarrassing at a point when you realize how bad your parents are with technology compared to you It's like, it's laughable. You ever explained how to use an iPad to your grandma, or you ever had to like make the text bigger on their screen so they could see it, or like add their accessibility settings, or you ever have to like show someone how to turn their ringer on and off and they're like 50? It's just signs of intelligence and signs of adaptive intelligence. If you could adapt to the new world we're living in, the technological world, you will be way more successful than people who can't. There are kids who make more money on like TikTok and social media than people with long career, 20-year long careers. There are people who make more money in a year, more money in 6 months than people, again, who have been doing things for their entire lives. And it's because they know how to navigate and mass market. They know how to mass communicate. And you don't need to be like ultra viral, ultra sensational influencer, super viral, lot of followers, able to talk to everybody to be smart and successful. That's not the point I'm trying to make. But I'm trying to say, if you can't work an iPhone or an iPad or a Windows or a Mac computer or just basic technological devices without the help of your grandson or your son or your daughter or whoever the fuck, no offense, you need to adapt. You need to learn. It's the same thing as when people come into our country and they don't learn English. It's just at a point like, you are putting yourself at a disadvantage, and it is a worse society for everyone because of it. Boomers really need to adapt, and they just refuse to. And beyond them refusing to adapt, they really fuck us on Social Security. If you're a boomer listening to my show, just know I'm paying your Social Security, and I'll never get it. I don't like you personally because of that. No, not personally. I'm sure you're a fine person in person. If you're a boomer listening to this, I'm sure you're not the worst person, but just know I really hate the fact that you're taking my Social Security and I will never get it. It infuriates me. It infuriates a lot of Americans because it's just waste, fraud, and abuse. It's government overreach, and it's our government with lack of accountability. If our government does want to take accountability for the amount of money they spend, it's the people's job to fix that. We either need to vote correct people into office who are going to give a shit, or we need to set up a new system that allows for America to succeed and not go $45 trillion in debt. Because right now at this pace, not only will we not be out of debt by the time I have grandkids, but we'll be $100 trillion in debt. It's only going to get worse. What is the point? I've said this before, but what is the point of a debt ceiling if you continuously raise it? It's not a real ceiling. It's not a real thing. If you continuously just raise the debt ceiling, it's the same thing as what I say about anti-Semitism. It's like if you continuously just change the definition to fit whoever you want into it, so everyone can be that thing, etc., then it's not a real thing. If you continuously raise the debt ceiling, it's not a real ceiling. It's just a voting play. It's just a bargaining chip at that point. It's just bullshit the way they think Americans are stupid. They're like, no, we're not going to make the country worse. We're actually going to enter the golden age of America. And then they add trillions to the debt. They give billions to ICE, and ICE has worse deportations than fucking Obama. Obama actually got a lot of deportations. I shouldn't shit on that. But you get my point. Democrats had more deportations than Donald Trump. And Donald Trump's entire, the reason we voted for this guy was immigration. Over everything else, the reason people voted for Donald Trump was his immigration policies. That was the thing people talked about when they talked about Donald Trump. Build the wall. Build the wall. That's all everyone talked about when you talked about Donald Trump. Besides the China jokes and the grab her by the pussy or whatever, it was build a wall. That was Trump saying, Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo. But no, none of that happened. Donald Trump shield for everybody, shield for Israel, bent over, let Bibi Netanyahu, I don't even want to call it molest because it was probably consensual. He let Bibi Netanyahu bend him over a barrel. That's what Israel's done to America. They have us bent over a barrel. We are literally the only country in the world not calling it a genocide. Every other nation over the last few weeks, specifically over the last week, 10 new ones jumped on, but they all said it's a genocide. It's a genocide. It needs to be condemned. It's a genocide. Bibi Netanyahu needs to be held accountable for his war crimes. Except for the United States. You have Marco Rubio, Howard Lutnick, and Donald Trump saying, nope, Israel is just in doing this. Israel should kill everybody who doesn't leave that part of the nation. And then everyone who does, we're just going to move them somewhere else. Ethnic cleansing. Genocide is what's happening. These are the words to describe these things that they will not call it. But by definition, if you look up the definition of genocide, you look up the definition of ethnic cleansing, and then you watch any of the videos I've showed on my show, or if you watch the TikToks, X videos, any of the videos of the war crimes happening all around the country of Israel, you will see that they're just lying, that they're pushing propaganda to you. They're pushing propaganda to you because they're allowed. The Smith-Mundt Act that Obama passed through allows propaganda to be sold to the American people by the American government, something that wasn't allowed before. Why would the government do that unless they knew they would be lying to you constantly, unless they knew they're all friends behind closed doors? Everyone thought Trump and Obama, they were enemies, only for Trump and Obama to be laughing together, only for them to be smiling and joking around together shortly after Trump was elected. These guys are all friends behind closed doors. This is all a game, and we are all the pawns, and we need to stand up, stop being the pawns, start being the kings, start being the knights, start being the rooks, start being every other piece on the board, but we are no longer the pawns. It is our job to tell the government and to let the government know that they work for us. Every single salary, including the president's, every salary in government is paid by your tax dollars and mine. Every one of their salaries. They are public servants, the same way police officers are, the same way any other position like that. But if they work in government, they work for you. You are the constituents. You are the ones who vote for them. You vote for these policies. If you are sick of the policies in your state and cities, vote locally. If you are sick of the policies federally, vote federally. Vote. We need to engage in politics. We need to let these people know that we are not going to take it anymore. By hell or high water, this country will come back to the founders' intentions. True America First policies, American nationalism, Christian nationalism. We will live within the morals of God. This country is dying right now. There's demonic influence everywhere. Political violence is on the rise. Charlie Kirk was sadly assassinated. Trump was shot at. We had Luigi Mangione put 2 bullets in the back of a CEO's head, and people celebrated it around the country. We had a Democratic, what were they, a senator? I forget exactly what their position was, but someone on the Democratic side got assassinated as well. Someone showed up to Paul Pelosi's house with a hammer, although there was some conspiracies with that, but still, political violence is on the rise right now, and it is disgusting, despicable. We need to condemn it. We need to root this evil out of our society, ostracize these people to the point where they are not able to get jobs anymore, where they are not able to work and live in this society and succeed in this society, because the people who celebrate violence and promote violence are the most destructive, demonic people in our country right now, and they exist everywhere. It's very sad to see people turning to that. Very sad to see people, especially like when you grew up with people, and obviously you expect to have political differences with everybody. It's rare you find someone you agree about everything in politics with, but it's sad to see people you grew up with grow up and they're anarchist leftists. They're doing destructive things, and maybe if they're not ultra violent, they're still at these violent protests, or they're at the looting protests, or they're supporting Luigi Mangione, or they're supporting Tyler Robinson. It really breaks your heart to see, and it changes your view and opinion on a lot of people. I've had my opinion. My opinion has changed on a lot of different people that I knew and I grew up with after seeing their reactions to Charlie Kirk. Anyone who celebrated that, I don't speak to anymore. I don't think people celebrating violence have a real place in society, and it's not to say they should die, that there should be any retaliation. It's actually the opposite. We should pray for these people. We should pray for the redemption of their souls. We should pray that they're able to find God, find Christ. We should pray that they're able to abstain from sin, abstain from violence, and we should encourage these people to engage in dialogue like Charlie Kirk would have wanted us to. It's very hard to, I don't know, it's a really hard thing for me to even say that, because as much as I think engaging in dialogue is the correct way to go about things, I really think there are certain people you just cannot negotiate with. You cannot convince them that their entire worldview is wrong. There are certain people who think that everything about the Christian religion is a sham. There are certain people who think that if you're alt-right, you are literally the worst person ever exist. And some people just refuse to move their positions. They refuse to move the goalposts. They refuse to accept new information when they are so embedded in their theories. They are so swept up in the conspiracies, so swept up in the propaganda and the nonsense. They refuse to accept actual narratives. They refuse to accept what's really going on in this country. we need to have better communication with people. We need to, better communication. I mean, again, we need to pick and choose our battles a little bit. Again, don't feel like you have to debate everybody on the left. Don't feel like you have to have a conversation with everybody, because again, there are going to be some people whose ultimate goal is just to ruin your life. They don't want to change their opinions. They're stuck in their ways, and we have to accept that. We can't do anything about it. All we can do is we can pray that these people do not go violent. They do not turn violent. They don't commit violent acts. And when people do say these atrocities online, like celebrating death, when people do these things, you screen record it, you download it, you find their LinkedIn, you contact their employer, and you add them to the Charlie's Murders database. There's a database of over 80,000 individuals. I think it's growing. I think it's over 100,000 individuals who it has their names, where they were working, if they were fired or not. These people need to be rooted out of society. Violence has no place in this country right now. Political violence specifically, no place in this nation. After everything we've gone through recently, it is time for people to look for peace. It is time for people to go to Christ as well. More people are going to the church than ever in Gen Z. It makes me very happy, but we need even more. We need millions and millions of more people to keep pouring into the church, especially our youth. It is imperative to the success of this nation for us to become a Christian nation again, that we have more people pouring back into the church and finding their faith again. And not only just for political reasons do we need people finding their faith. You know, I talk about how it will push America First policies and Christian nationalism, but it's also just really good for your soul and good for yourself. Praying your rosary every night is a form of meditation in a way. It's a beautiful thing. Finding your relationship with God is a beautiful thing. Going to your confession, beautiful thing. If you haven't been baptized yet, I urge you, go get baptized, get your first communion, your confession. Please get confirmed. It is a beautiful thing to find your relationship with God. It is a beautiful thing to sit in church every Sunday, or even if you go more than that. Sometimes I go twice a week. It is one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life to find my way back to Christ, find my way back to the Catholic Church. I strayed away from it in my early teens, like a lot of teens do, and then I came back to it in my early 20s, and it was one of the greatest decisions I ever made, and something I urge every single person to do. Find your way back to the church. I promise you, it will be the greatest decision you ever made. I want to talk about our next topic. I kind of went on just like a rant there. It didn't really have to do with our topics. But I want to talk about Trump's no new war policy, and I want to talk about something Trump said today to the media. Trump was asked by the media, do you think if a Russian plane is flying over a NATO country that they should shoot it down? And Trump, without hesitation, said yes. I think that's scary. I think it could lead to a bigger conflict. I understand what he's saying. Like, why would Russia be flying their planes over NATO countries? But Ukraine's not even in NATO right now. Like, there's no involvement between the Ukraine war and NATO besides the fact that Ukraine wants to join NATO, which they should not be able to. That's one of the only reasons we haven't grown into a way bigger conflict with Russia. They do not want Ukraine in NATO, and we should not allow that. It wouldn't make sense. We wouldn't allow Canada, we wouldn't allow Mexico to have an alliance with China and Russia. Ukraine is right there on the border. They don't want a bordering country allied with everyone else against them. It makes perfect sense, and that is one thing that we can submit to, and I'm completely fine with that. I don't think we should have been funding Ukraine in the way we have. I think it's actually, it's real waste, fraud, and abuse. It's money laundering. We have over $300 billion we've sent there. It's probably way more now, and Zelensky said that he only got like 80 billion of that, 300 billion. So obviously most of the money stolen, laundered, going to interest groups, going to NGOs, going to back-end deals. But yeah, we're being stolen from in real time by our government. And again, it comes down to we must engage in politics and get these bad actors out. I urge everyone, come the midterms and come the election, to vote differently than you ever have before. I'm not saying you have to abandon your political party or your instinct or your gut, but do this at least. Please, before you vote, look at every single person on the ballot. And I know it might take a little time. You could even use AI to make this go a little faster if you just put screenshots in it, but put every person on the ballot in your local, state, your federal elections. Find out who they take money from in lobbying. because it's publicly available information to find out who these politicians are receiving money from. If these politicians are receiving money from interest groups that have to do with foreign nations, do not vote for them. If they want to replace Americans, do not vote for them. If they want to support foreign wars, do not vote for them. If they want to give more foreign aid or keep the foreign aid going, do not vote for these people. I urge every one of my listeners to take lobbying into account come next election cycle, come the 2026 midterms and the 2028 presidential election. Look at lobbying and look at it closely. I'll be reporting very closely on my show who the candidates are, what money they're taking. But for the midterm elections, it's hard. I mean, there's so many different political candidates all over the country. I won't be able to cover all of them. But for everyone in different states all around the nation, please, it will take 10 minutes of your time. Take a screenshot of the ballot, multiple screenshots if it's a long one. Put it into AI. Say, look up each one of these people and tell me which lobbying groups they take money from and how much money. And then look up what those lobbying groups are if you don't know them. But if you see APEC on there, if you see cigarette lobbyists, war lobbyists, foreign aid lobbyists, immigration lobbyists, if you see any of these people on there, again, immediately disassociate. And don't just look at the name of the lobbyist group and just be like, oh, that sounds like a good one. I'm not going to think twice about it. I'm going to tell you guys about one called Kentucky MAGA. Kentucky MAGA sounds Kentucky MAGA sounds ultra patriotic. Like if I was to think what Kentucky MAGA is, it's just promoting like alt-right, far-right politics in Kentucky, wanting to make America great again candidates in office. Realistically, what it is it's an Israel lobby. It's an Israel-owned lobby that wants to get politicians out of office who don't support the Israel lobby, specifically Thomas Massie. It was created very specifically to get Thomas Massie out of office. Why did they call it Kentucky MAGA instead of like Israeli MAGA or instead of anything else? They did that to trick you because they think you're stupid. They think I'm stupid. They think we won't look into it. But when I see something called Kentucky MAGA, instead of just accepting like, oh, it sounds like an ultra patriotic name, I'm just going to think that's a good one. No, you got to look into it, look into the finances, look into the donors, look into where the lobbyist group is actually located, and you'll see that a lot of these are bullshit shell companies. A lot of these are planted there to seem like they are positive for America, but in reality, they're just trying to fuck you and me over. They're trying to steal our money. They're trying to rig our elections. They want to get pro-Israel, pro-foreign aid, pro-immigration, pro-mass replacement policies and political candidates into office, and they're succeeding at it because, again, we need Gen Z to step up more. If you're Gen Z, you know what I'm talking about. We understand social media. If you're Gen Z, you have a friend somewhere who you give them a name or a picture of someone you met 10 years ago and they could find everything about that person. They call them like internet sleuths and detectives, private investigators, like not actually private investigators, but like we all have that one friend who's like the private investigator friend. You give them, again, a photo from like 5 to 10 years ago, they'll tell you that person everything short of their social security number. We need people like this to be doing this research. We need more people who are smart with technology, more people who understand how to navigate technology quickly, use AI, how to prompt it well. Everyone knows how to use AI, but do you know how to prompt it well? Do you know how to actually lead it to give you correct information? Do you know how to lead it to actually be able to give the red pill? You need to learn these things, and we need the people who know these things to step up. We need you guys to be posting on social media. If you don't want to do it under your own name, that's the beauty of social media. Create a ghost account. Put a picture of a black square, put a picture of paper fucking towels or a hat on your page, whatever it is as your profile picture with a fake name, and expose these things. Expose Kentucky MAGA. Expose Ilhan Omar. Expose how Trump said no new wars, but now he's going back on it. Expose that Tom Homan is taking bribes. Expose that YouTube was censoring and demonetizing people. We need people to expose these things. Expose the lobbyist groups, the corruption, the waste, fraud, and abuse, all the people in our political system, in government that we vote for who are working against our interests. There are a lot more people in American government working against our interests than working for it. They're working for foreign nations and lobbying. Politics is all about money. People who have money run politics. It's not the politicians, it's the people who pay them. And we need to get enough people in those positions of power to be paying politicians eventually. And then we need to have the politicians too. That's what the America First movement is right now. Conceal your power. If you don't want to be like a big name, but you still want to help the America First movement, help Nick Fuentes, help all these different people who are trying to get the America First movement moving forward like I am. Again, conceal your positions of power, make wealth in this country become unkillable, get people into government, and then also people outside of government in these lobbying groups, political donors who can change the outcome of elections, who can change the outcome of policy. Because again, it doesn't just take the politicians, it also takes the money that pays these politicians, and it's not their salaries that they care about. You think Ilhan Omar cares about her $174,000 a year salary when she's like $30 million, or she has a net worth of like $30 million, and she has that through back-end bribes and lobbying? You think she saved $30 million making $174,000 a year? Do you know how fucking ridiculous that is when you say it out loud? She has $30 million net worth. She doesn't even like America, and she makes $174,000 a year. Oh, this is the bitch who married her brother to get into our country. These people, again, people like that need to be rooted out of society, ostracized. She needs to just get the fuck out of my country and be deported. I mean, Ilhan Omar is a disgrace to America. She shouldn't even call herself an American. And anyone who voted for her, I actually think a lot less of you, because you're either really dumb, you're easily propagandized, or you're like a Somalian or something. But you should not be in my country, Ilhan Omar. You need to get out of my country. I don't want an incestual woman from Somalia who doesn't even like America in government. Those are 4 things that don't need to be in government mixed into one woman. She needs to get out. She is a problem. And the people who voted for her are almost just as bad as her because of how dumb they are for giving her the vote. I want to go on to our next topic. I really hope that Trump doesn't start World War III with saying that NATO countries should shoot down Russian planes. We'll see how that plays out over the next few weeks, if anything happens. But I could foresee that leading to a way bigger issue if any country was to shoot down a Russian plane if it's peacefully passing through. It's scary times we're living in. The president of No New Wars is not really avoiding wars. And he's funding a genocide. I want to talk about this Tom Homan thing. So the White House is now shutting down their investigation. The Department of Justice, the FBI, shutting down their investigations into Tom Homan. Tom Homan allegedly took a $50,000 bribe from an undercover agent who wanted to get government contracts. So the deal was you give Tom Homan $50,000, he'll make sure your agency gets government contracts. This was an undercover sting operation. Apparently there's a video of it they haven't released, but officially the FBI has just shut down the investigation, saying they're not going to look into it anymore. Kash Patel bombed the Tom Homan investigation, bombed the Epstein investigation, fucked up the Charlie Kirk thing, has not released any credible evidence on JFK, MLK, or RFK. They have fucked up the COVID investigation. They're not arresting anyone for the Obama hoax with Russian disinformation. Why is Kash Patel still employed? Like, if I fucked up this much, I wouldn't, like, none of my clients at my job would want to keep, like, that's just, if anyone fucked up this much at their job, they would be fired. If anyone was this bad at their job as Kash Patel is essentially just a media whore, and he's bad at that. He's not even good in front of the media. He literally, in front of Congress on the congressional floor, testified to the fact, under oath, that Jeffrey Epstein did not traffic to anybody, that he was just getting unlimited hand jobs by himself, that this guy was the king of over the pants, under the pants hand jobs. That all the women, all the victims are just lying, according to Donald Trump, according to all these people, according to Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, the FBI. It really seems like the FBI, not that they ever had any credibility to begin with, but it seems like they have none at all now. It really makes you question everything. You know, there's a lot of things that don't add up with this Tyler Robinson thing. I mean, the text message conversation alone is enough to ask a ton of questions. They had the ellipses where they obviously took things out of the conversation to fit the narrative of the conversation more. Like, the conversation was basically like this. Hey, I'm like 3 mics out. I'm at 0900 and I have my service rifle with me and I'm going to circle back and see if the squad car, like Literally everything in there was like it was straight out of a military or police training movie. It was the most military police conversation I've ever heard in my life. I know a lot of guys who are in the military. I know a lot of men who are police officers, all very brave men. And that's how they talk. Again, they all say things like squad car, vehicle. And there's a lot of things that just didn't add up, from like the initial stories and the messages to the story from the FBI. Like they said he changed on the roof, but then in the messages it says he changed in the woods. They said he left his gun tool on the roof. They said his fingerprints were on the gun tool, but then they said he reassembled his rifle in the woods. How does that happen? They said a 30-06 literally caused an entry wound but no exit wound. And again, Murphy's Law says anything is possible, so technically it could be possible, but as someone who shot that caliber, it is less than likely. I mean, that would blow a hole in a truck. I don't think you realize, like, if you've ever seen like a 5.7 round, it's a lot bigger, and a 5.7 can pierce through armor. You're telling me Charlie Kirk's neck bone is the Hulk? I don't know. A lot of things aren't adding up. It seems like there could be federal involvement or some bigger conspiracy there. I'm not going to say anything for certain. And I really think the people who are monetizing off who are making like 2-hour-long episodes digging into this conspiracy, but they keep changing their angle all the time. Like, I think that's distasteful. At least demonetize those episodes if you're going to bounce around from conspiracy theory to conspiracy theory. You know, if you're not going to keep one straight narrative and like run with it, then yeah, I find it disingenuous to monetize that, especially when it's about, you know, a man's death. And this isn't about anyone specific. A lot of people are going to say it's specific to Candace, but it's not. There's a lot of people doing that. I've even had people in the comments recently saying like, "Oh, you're not listening to everything Candace is saying. She's not saying that." And it's like, I like Candace. I think Candace is a good voice in conservative politics. I mean, she's got like 8 million YouTube subscribers. She's obviously doing something right. I just think, like all of us, Candace needs a reality check every now and then. Every single person who does this needs a reality check, including myself, including Candace, including Nick, including Tate, including Myron, including Trump, including Lutnick, including Rubio, JD, like everybody in politics, everybody in media at some point needs a reality check or two. They need to get back to reality. The way algorithms work is they love to really drive us into conspiracies if you're into them in the first place. It's probably how they got Alex Jones. But it's like your algorithm just pushes you the things you look into the most. So if you're a conspiracy junkie, if you're someone like Candace Owens, myself, if you're someone who looks into a lot of conspiracies, you're going to have your feed filled with it. And I'm sure all her social media feeds are overwhelmed with that. And there's a lot of disinformation out there. So again, this isn't me like hating on her or her reporting. I'm sure there's a lot of disinformation out there and it's hard to tell what's the truth, what's not. I do think it's great that Candace is looking into Charlie's murder. I think we all should. I think it's very important that we look into these things, that we don't just trust the FBI. As I said a few minutes ago, the FBI has zero trust. You know, we can't just trust them. So I don't think it's a bad thing she's looking into it. My only complaint is that Candace bounces from Candace bounces from theory to theory, and she's monetizing it at the same time when it's about one of her friends' death. And it's not even like I don't want her to make money. Candace makes a ton of money, and her husband's like a 200, like his net worth is over $100 million. She'll be fine financially. It's really just about, like, come on, let's be tasteful with this. Like, we're talking about a man's death here, and it's not even just a political man. He was a husband. He was a father. He was dad to his kids. He was Charlie, you know, my husband to Erica. Charlie was a great man. We will all miss Charlie. We're very sad that Charlie passed. May God rest his soul. I hope he's smiling down in heaven at what we're trying to do to carry his legacy forward. Turning Point is growing by the day, by the minute, actually. I mean, Turning Point had like less than 10,000 chapters. I think it's over 120,000 new requests are coming in. Turning Point USA is far from ever stopping. It is at its peak and growing by the second, by the minute, like we said. But yeah, I think right now we need to start holding people accountable. We need to hold the FBI accountable. We need to hold the media companies accountable who are pushing this misinformation out there, making it more confusing for everybody. In times of tragedy like this, people take advantage of that. A big saying in politics is never let a good tragedy go to waste. And it's not just the president, the vice president, the Pentagon, the intel agencies who use that, although they heavily use that, as we saw. Trump sent another $6.5 billion to Israel right after Charlie Kirk was assassinated because he knew it wouldn't get reported on, and it barely did. But yeah, we have a lot of disinformation out there that's really messing with people in the media. A lot of people in the media get way too caught up in conspiracy sometimes. And I think sometimes it's good to just... Everyone wants to be the first to report the story, and I get it. As someone who is in this media space now, I get it. You always want to be the first one out there because if you are, you're going to get the most clicks, you're going to get the most views, you're going to get more money from being monetized, you'll get more views and eyeballs on your channel, more people will tune into you, give you feedback on your show, ratings on your show, whatever it is that your angle or whatever you're looking for, you'll achieve by being the first one there. But sometimes it's better to wait a second, take a pause, gather more information before you just go and report. I don't think that's always the case. I think there are times where you just need to go live right away and you need to say, this is happening, we're speculating this. But when it comes to a really serious tragedy like Charlie Kirk's assassination that happened in front of thousands of Americans live and millions of people, billions of people on social media throughout the world, I think it's something that you need to really take delicately and really... Because again, there's a family involved here. There are kids involved. There's a wife involved. There's more than just our political beliefs and our conspiracies involved. This is a family who is mourning the loss of a husband and a father, a very good Christian man who gave his life to Christ. So again, I don't think what Candace is doing is necessarily bad. I don't think it's evil. I don't think it's malicious even. I think Candace has good intentions. And I think that. I think highly of Candace in a lot of ways, although I do think that there are some things she does that are disingenuous. I think the thing on Nick Fuentes was a total hit piece, and I don't think she should be monetizing the videos until she has a lockdown path. Maybe she does have a new lockdown path when it comes to the Fed angle. Originally, she was taking an Israeli angle, even though she didn't definitively say it was Israel. She was heavily speculating that. And a lot of people on social media were. It was floating around. Everyone, you had all these Russian bot accounts immediately saying Nick Fuentes got the call because he didn't immediately say it was Israel. That's how fucked up our social media space is. People are saying that Nick Fuentes got the call from Israel because he wasn't immediately saying it was Israel. When Nick Fuentes isn't saying it's Israel, that's how you know it's probably not. If it was Israel, Nick Fuentes would be the fucking first one on that. Like that. He would be the first one on that. The first one to call it out would be Nick Fuentes. But there was very little connections to Israel versus the connections to possibly the federal government, possibly connections to this Discord tranny server where it's this transgender death cult of people who really want violent acts to happen. But again, we're all still speculating. We're all waiting on more information. And I'm not just saying when the FBI gives more information, trust it. Again, the FBI has no credibility. Everything they say, we take with a grain of salt. Everything they say, we do our own research, we fact check, we investigate ourselves. We turn to people like Nick Fuentes. We turn to people like Ian Carroll. We even turn to people like Candace Owens. Matt Walsh as well. I think he is a very funny person. He is very active in the political community. I think he's less effective than Candace is when it comes to actually garnering support from their fans. Candace had live streams with like 500,000 people right after Charlie Kirk was assassinated talking about this. So yes, I don't think Candace Owens is negative for what she's doing. I don't think she's malicious. I don't think her intent's bad. I just think she should not be monetizing it, at least until she has a locked-in theory that she's going to stick with. And again, it's not saying she can't evolve her theories as more information comes along. Of course she should. But just, again, be very delicate and careful about how you talk about these things. Not for you, not for your viewers. Do it for Erica. Do it for her kids, for Charlie's kids, who are going to have to grow up without their father, and Erica, who will grow up without who will live the rest of her life without her husband. They're going to watch your shows. They're going to be hearing about these things for them. Let's make it a little easier. That's my take on that, at least. I want to talk a little bit about this Nick, Patrick, Bet David podcast. They did a about 2-hour-long interview. It was fairly similar to a lot of Nick interviews where they didn't go that in-depth on political topics that are happening currently. It seemed they didn't do that because they're setting up a future interview. that was the impression I got from watching it. Whether that happens or not, I'm not 100% sure, but the impression I got and a lot of other groypers and viewers got was he was setting it up for another interview down the line, another discussion possibly about current political events. But what they did talk about is Nick Fuentes' backstory. They talked about how he came into the political world, how his political views developed, and how they've evolved into what they are now. They talked about his mass cancellation he went through immediately after joining politics because he was one of the first young people to speak out against the Israel lobby very publicly. I think it's a great interview that everyone should watch. I'm not going to show clips of it here because I don't want to spoil anyone. Maybe I'll show clips of it later this week, but it was just released today. So I think that I will save the clips for later in the week, let people go check it out. I did repost it on my YouTube channel for everyone to check out. And I probably will do a reaction stream to it in the next coming days. I just like to give, when people give Nick the opportunity to do things like this, they deserve as many views as possible. So I don't want to take views away from that by doing a reaction stream and have people come into my stream. That would be selfish of me, to Nick Fuentes, to Patrick Bet-David, and the America First movement as a whole. So we're going to put them first. Allow them to have a few days, get their viewers up, get monetized, get a ton of money from, or Patrick Bet-David get some money for the episode. But yeah, everyone go tune into that. Go watch that. Very important, very good episode. Very well spoken. I think if you don't know who Nick Fuentes is, you should start watching him. He will be the new voice on the right. I'm not trying to say anyone else's or discredit anyone else, but I think Nick Fuentes will be the voice that takes over conservative politics. He is a very loud, very, very just smart. Smart, intellectual, intelligent, extremely high IQ. One of the greatest speakers of our generation. Those are the best ways to describe him. I had to put it together for a sec. But yeah, everyone go tune into that, please. I'm urging you to go watch it. I want to talk about our last topics. I'm actually we're going to get right into our X tweets, and then after that, we'll go over everything, and then we'll see if there's any headlines that have popped up during the day. But yeah, let's go check on X right now. Let's see what we got. This is one of the craziest things I was showing you guys, or I talked about it earlier, but after Sunday's memorial for Charlie, TPUSA received a massive surge of inquiries to start new chapters. Pre-Sunday, we had around 60,000 inquiries. Before Charlie Kirk even died, they had only 9,000, I think it was. And then now, post-Sunday, over 120,000 inquiries. Let's go to the tweet from September 14th here. I wanted to share this report from TPUSA. The organization has received over 32,000 inquiries in the last 48 hours to start new campus chapters. To put into perspective, TPUSA currently has 900 official college chapters, 1,200 high school chapters, and okay, so I was wrong. It wasn't even 9,000. It was 3,500. 3,500 to 120,000. Americans, you warm my heart. Young Americans everywhere, just know, if you are one of these people, even if you're not, if you're just thinking about it, just know I'm proud of you. You are doing the Lord's work. You're doing Charlie's work. You're doing what Charlie would have wanted. You're putting America first. You are speaking about conservative politics. The only thing I would urge you to do is, if you're doing this, get as red-pilled as you can about foreign lobbying and foreign aid, because that is one thing that me and Charlie disagreed on heavily, and Charlie disagreed with the alt-right on a lot, was the foreign lobbying, the foreign aid specifically to Israel, the Israel lobby, and how it controls American politics. But this is a massive win. We're going to go on to let's see, what else do we got? This is what I was saying earlier. YouTube admits it censored Americans under pressure from the Biden administration and says it will reinstate terminated accounts banned for political speech. This is a massive win, like we said. The company terminated channels for repeatedly violating its community guidelines on elections integrity content through 2023 and COVID-19 content through 2024. Today, YouTube's community guidelines allow for a wider range of content. Hopefully, my content does not get shadow banned regarding COVID-19 and elections integrity. Reflecting the company's commitment to free expression, YouTube will provide an opportunity for all creators to rejoin the platform if the company terminated their channels for repeated violations of COVID-19 and election integrity policies that are no longer in effect. They need to do it for everyone who's banned, who's not promoting violent speech. But that's important. You even see Sneeko commenting. Sneeko was taken off there as well. You know, Sneeko, I don't agree with him on everything, specifically a lot of the Muslim stuff, a lot of the race politics. But I think everybody has the right to a voice, specifically a voice online. It's so important to our First Amendment rights that we allow everyone to have our voice, even if we disagree with them. This is the stat I was mentioning earlier. Very upsetting. Married plus home by 30 years old. 1950, 50%. 1960, 52. 1970, 48. 1980, 45. 1990, 43. 2000, 35. 2010, 25. And 2025, it's at 12%. A 50% drop in the last 15 years. Wow. The biggest drop we've had in that, time period, in like that 10 to 15 year time stretch. A 50% drop. This is devastating. Yeah, this is a devastatingly bleak statistic. This is so sad. The American dream is gone. Like, you have immigrants on social media, Indian immigrants saying, H-1Bs are $100,000. The American dream is over. Guess what, bitch? The American dream was never supposed to be for you. The American dream was supposed to be for people like me, born here. I was born in America. I am a Native American. I was born in America. The American dream is for people like me. You start a business in this country. You employ people in this country. You buy a home. You get married. You succeed in this nation. That doesn't exist for my generation. It doesn't exist for millennials. It doesn't exist for the generations under me who will struggle. It is our duty to make it better for future generations. The boomers and previous generations before us failed our generations when they made this the worst generation possible. They literally, for the first time in American history, our generation has it worse off than previous generations. That is the first time that has ever happened. By every single metric, our generation is worse off. More anxiety, more depression, higher suicide. Suicide rates is the best way to look at it, but higher suicide rates, more debt, more credit card debt, more student loan debt. People can't afford cars. They can't afford houses. Their jobs don't pay shit. There is no growth in their companies, and people are getting replaced if they were born in America for people who weren't, because they'll take half the fucking money. That is the reality of the situation we're living in. If you were getting paid $80,000 a year in America, you could get fired because that company will bring in someone who will do it for 40 who came from another nation. That's what we're living with. We need real America First policies. We need real things that are going to bring value back to the dollar, and we need people to get married again. But again, don't just get married. Don't just find like a trad-cath wife and be like, yep, I'm going to marry her. She seems perfect. She's everything that I ever... Again, hold your ground, fellas. Put your foot down in the relationship. Be the man of the house. Do not find a woman who is going to run your shit. Do not find a woman who... The woman you marry will make or break your entire life, man. The woman you marry will literally make or break the rest of your life. She will make the rest of your life hell, or she will make the rest of your life heaven. She will make the rest of your life so easy. She will be supportive to you. She will support your children. She will be supportive to you and your career and what you're doing. She won't bother you all the time with nonsense. She won't, for lack of better terms, bitch you out all the time. But a woman who is not the right woman, again, she will use your kids against you as a pawn. She will threaten to take them from you. She'll threaten to take your money. A woman will boss you around the second you come home from work, act like your responsibility is the housework when you go out and work all day, as she takes care of the kids. Again, be men, be strong men. Don't be simps. My best advice to men is get past the lust. It's something that took me a while, and it's a big hurdle for a lot of men to deal with, especially in this ultra-sexualized society we live in today, where literally every girl's ass cheeks are on Instagram for free. But yeah, get past the lust. If you can move past the lust, you can realize that most women are not that interesting. They don't have a lot to offer. And it's not to say no women do, but most Gen Z women do not have a ton to offer. They want to run your shit. They want to run your house. They want to make it a competition to make more money than you and have a better career than you. We need women who want to be mothers. We need women who want to get married and be mothers and be homemakers. That's what this country needs. The only people who are benefiting off this woman liberation, where it's like all these women are career focused now, are the corporations and the government. The corporations are loving it. Not all of them, but some of them. And the government definitely does, because the only reason they ever let women work in the first place was to tax you. I promise you this, if they couldn't tax women the way they tax men, they would never would have let women work. The only reason they want women to work is for double the tax revenue. Instead of taxing half the household, you're now taxing the full household. That is what the government wanted, more revenue, so they can line their pockets. The corrupt bureaucrats, the corrupt politicians. Like, just look up politicians' net worth and then look up their salary. It's a good way to know how corrupt they are. Because most of these politicians are multimillionaires, but they only make a couple $100,000 a year before tax. We're going to go on to the next post here. This was a crazy one. This is the same guy who challenged Trump to a golf match, and he said, if Trump wins, Trump can just execute me point blank, and if I win, I get to be the president. The same guy who tried to assassinate Trump at Mar-a-Lago. But would-be Trump assassin Ryan Ruth tries to stab himself in the neck with a pen after guilty verdict read in court. Who does he think he is, Dexter? Like, what the fuck are you doing, buddy? Like, that's a great court drawing right there. I will say that's an all-time court drawing. This is also a crazy one. I thought Candace was about to get fucked in this lawsuit. Maybe, again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. If Candace is right about this, I will be the first person to apologize. If Candace is right about the Macron wife thing, I will be the first one to apologize. Because I can buy into the transgender part, but I can't buy into the other parts of it. But Bridget Macron's photographic evidence proving she's a woman has been challenged in court. I really wonder, like, did she sit on a fax machine? Did she, like, send a picture full spread eagle? Like, what did she do? I'm really curious. Like, what is photographic evidence proving you're a woman? Is there a picture of you pregnant maybe? Like, I don't know what it is. Yeah, this is funny. The judge challenging the evidence. Yeah, that's a good one. This is a crazy thing. Okay, so we talked about this previously on the show, that Tylenol has been linked to autism when pregnant women take it. The government just announced that. The Department of Health announced that. Women are now just... I'll let you guys hear. I'm going to turn the volume off on this because we don't need the volume, but... like, this should be child abuse. This really should be child abuse. I don't know if that's just weird to me. Who the fuck drinks water before that? Don't you put the pill on your tongue and then drink it? Like, who the fuck drinks water and then just throws the pill into the water and swallow? That's weird. I feel like that's backwards. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you guys take it before? I don't know. I mean, but here's a little compilation. Oh my god, volume off again, real quick. Here's a little compilation video of same thing though. 4 different women doing it, and it's like these women should all be charged with child abuse. All charged. No exceptions. No exceptions at all. I want to talk about this Tucker Carlson thing, this 5-part 9/11 series. I'm going to do a deep dive into it later in the week. I've only watched the first 2 parts. I'm going to watch the last 3 parts tonight, and then I'll probably talk about it either tomorrow or the next day. It just depends what happens. If we have a lot of big headlines, maybe I'll push it, but I think I'll end up talking about it. We've had kind of a slow, I don't know, it hasn't been crazy busy politically recently within government. But Tucker Carlson released this 5-part docuseries, 4 episodes behind a paywall, 1 episode not, about 9/11, about the conspiracies, the intel agencies, and it's a very interesting take. He talks about how the CIA knew about the hijackers, knew that they were in the country and never told the FBI, the lack of communication. He talks about the dancing Israelis. He talks about the art students. He talks about every single angle. I think it's really important we have more people pushing for truth. And again, I don't trust everything Tucker Carlson says, especially after he lied, saying he didn't know his dad was in the CIA, but then there was overwhelming evidence to show that he did know. He was literally... Tucker Carlson was with the freedom fighters, the Contras, in Nicaragua, and he was doing that as a summer vacation in college, and he didn't know his dad was CIA when he's traveling the world with his dad, and they're on planes that are falling out of the, like, getting shot out of the sky. Again, everything about Tucker Carlson's life screamed CIA. Maybe he's not, maybe he is, but I do think Tucker does push a lot of truthful narratives, even though he does lie about some things. So I think everyone should tune into this 5-part docuseries. Everyone needs to learn the real histories of 9/11, especially if you're a young American. If you're a young American It is your job and duty to be as informed as possible. We need to know the truth about these things. We need to know if our government was involved, if Israel was involved, if it was Muslims, if it was Jews, if it was America, if it was Israel, if it was Pakistan, Al-Qaeda, whoever it was. We need the truth. We need to know why they started the Patriot Act. We need to know how that even became a thing. We need to know that why Wolfowitz and Rumsfeld were pushing for the war in Iraq literally seconds after the planes went into the tower. We need to know what happened to Tower 7. We need to know why Larry Silverstein and Lutnick skipped work that day and profited so much. They give stories to why they skipped work that day. They give stories to what happened. Howard Lutnick's is a lot more credible than Silverstein's. Howard Lutnick's brother actually died in the attack, so there is a chance that Howard Lutnick did not know, even though he profited off it. Howard Lutnick essentially became a multi-billionaire off that attack. Like, literally, you could look that up. He profited so heavily off the 9/11 attacks in the long run. But his brother did get murdered in it, so there is a good chance he did not know. I mean, that part alone is pretty strong evidence. But Larry Silverstein's a completely different story. That's the guy who literally bought terrorist insurance on the buildings and on Tower 7, and he skipped work that day for the first time ever. Larry Silverstein is a heavily connected man, the same way Howard Lutnick is. Again, I think they're both worth looking into, but I think Larry Silverstein, when it comes to 9/11, is a bigger thing to look into. There are a lot of corrupt things with Howard Lutnick, in my opinion. I mean, he literally lived next to Jeffrey Epstein, next door neighbors. He is standing behind Donald Trump every time Donald Trump continues to bury the Epstein files and refuses to talk about them. He is on the forefront of speaking about the Israel lobby and the Israel issue. He goes back and, like, he was one of the most pro-Doge Elon Musk guys, only to, like, give an interview with Axios where he absolutely shit on Elon Musk and Doge. He's just a shill. He's shilling for Trump. He's shilling for Israel. He's not actually doing anything for Americans. So I think they're both worth looking into, but when I think it comes to the 9/11, who knew about it, if it was both of them or one of them, I think Silverstein's more likely. Howard Lutnick is definitely worth looking into, though. Again, we should not leave anyone out of this investigation. We need full transparency, and we're just not getting it. We're not getting the transparency we need. That's been all our topics we're going to talk about today. I'm going to check if there's any headlines, but first I'll go over what we talked about today. We talked about YouTube admitting that they have censored conservatives. We talked about how they banned them, demonetized them, took away their subscriptions, took away their platforms as a whole, and how they're allowing these people to get back on the platform if they were taken off for the unjust rules that do not exist anymore. We'll know how real this is when we see who is allowed to have an account back and who's not. I'm sure a lot of people will be able to get their accounts back, but if they don't allow Tate, if they don't allow Sneeko, if they don't allow Nick Fuentes to get their accounts back, we know that this is all still a sham. We know that the Hasbara campaign is funding that part of it, because if they're going to go back on that part but not everything, not full free speech, then it's like, okay, what's the point? What is the point if you're not going to allow everyone to speak? We talked about how Trump said that all NATO countries should shoot down Russian planes if they see them in their country. We talked about Tom Homan essentially getting away with a $50,000 bribe, a bribe for government contracts. We talked about the Patrick Bet David podcast. Again, go tune into that. We talked about how liberal women are just taking Tylenol, the Rise and the Turning Point USA chapters. We talked about Tucker's 5-part 9/11 series and how everyone should go tune into that too. And one more time, I shouted this out the other day, but it's so good that it's worth shouting out twice in 2 different episodes, just in case people who weren't tuning in the other day tune into this one. If you have not seen Ian Carroll's Middle East, or Creating Israel, Terror in the Middle East, something like that, if you have not seen his video, go watch it. I think it's like an hour, 10 minutes, or maybe it's like 50, I don't know, it's between 50 and an hour 10, not that long, but it's a good length, but best production value I've seen on a video like that. Very in detail, very, very good, a good way to understand what Israel is, how it was created, how it was funded, how America created it, essentially, how we helped create it, how the mafia was involved. It's a very good deep dive. I think Ian Carroll, he outdid all of us with that one. So we talked about all those topics today. Again, please remember to smash the follow button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the show. We're going to check if there's any headlines that have popped up while we've been filming. Let me close out a couple of these tabs real quick. Let's see if we got anything. Your restaurant bill is $67.69. How much are you tipping? $2.31. No, I'm kidding. $15. $12.31. I like even numbers. I like to round up to even numbers. I like to not round up. I just like the even numbers. I feel autistic with that stuff. No, I don't know. I mean, why is this controversial? People who say I tip 20% every time, again, I've worked as a waiter. A lot of waiters suck, and I could tell you that as someone who was a waiter. I wasn't always the best waiter, and a lot of the waiters I worked with were absolute fucking retards and dumbasses. So yeah, I don't think every waiter deserves 20%. Some need a reality check. If you always tip waiters 20%, if shitty waiters get 20% for giving shitty service, they're going to think it's okay to do that, and they're going to be upset when other people don't tip them similarly when they're still giving shitty service. We need to hold these people accountable. Shitty waiters should be not tipped or given 5% max. And I don't feel bad saying that. And I'm someone who was a waiter, bartender, caddy. I did all kinds of service jobs that were tip-based. And I'll be the first to say that if your service isn't impeccable, if you don't have A1 top-of-the-line service, you're not going over the top for the people at the restaurant, the bar, the golf, like wherever it is that you're doing a service-based thing, yeah, you don't deserve a tip. A tip is not necessary. They're not going there to pay the waiter. They're going there to eat food. And they're just tipping you as a courtesy. It's not required. Only certain places require like a 20% minimum, and that's usually when you have a certain party size. But yeah, I don't know. And especially if you walk up and pay yourself somewhere, don't tip. Like if you walk up at Starbucks and you order yourself, look that barista right in the eyes. Look him right in the eyes. That blue-haired barista, and hit no tip. And smile when you do it. Again, don't tip people where you're doing all the work. Like, what are they doing for the tip? They're making your coffee? People used to just do that for $8 an hour. Now they need a tip to do it as well? Fuck you. I'm not tipping you for fucking coffee. I don't even drink coffee, actually. But for the viewers who do. It's like same thing anywhere else, though. Anywhere they turn around that fucking iPad and the options are like 25, 30, and 35%. It's like custom tip, 0, suck my dick. You're not getting shit. 25% minimum? That's your lowest percentage you have? What did you jerk me off behind the... No, that's not a good joke. But like, are you serious, guys? Like, does it cure cancer? Like, does the tips cure cancer? 30%? Are you fucking kidding me? Let's see what this. Trump blasts UN ineffectiveness amid glitches in General Assembly address. President Donald Trump addressed the UN General Assembly in New York on September 23rd, criticizing the organization's role in diplomacy and migration while highlighting U.S. achievements in resolving conflicts and boosting... What do you mean resolving conflicts? All the wars that you said would stop are still going. He incorporated humor from an escalator malfunction upon arrival and a teleprompter failure during his speech. Okay. Again, those are things that should just be fixed. Why is this a fucking headline? Let's see what else. We got Michigan trending. Let's see what that is. It might be, yeah, it's probably sports. I'm calling on real-time Homan to send ice into Dearborn, Michigan. Oh, fuck, look at this. That's a U.S. city. This isn't Somalia. This isn't the Middle East. This isn't some bullshit third world nation, although it looks like it. This right here is in America. This is America right here. Does that look like America to you guys? I want every one of these people the fuck out of my country. How about that? You, all you bitches, get out of my country. Get the fuck out. Seriously, I don't want any of you voting. I don't want any of you owning property in my country. I don't want you guys taking our jobs. That is fucking crazy that is, people in Dearborn chant, death to America, but Rashida Tlaib refuses to condemn it. Yeah, no shit, she hates America. We literally have people in government and people who live in America who hate America, and then they're like, no, guys, you're super Islamophobic if you say that Muslims should get the fuck out of our country. Muslims are repopulating faster than everyone else, and Muslims hate America, and Muslims are doing it to replace Americans and have Sharia law brought to America. Over my fucking dead body will Sharia law ever be the law of this land. We are a Christian nation, and we will hold that line. Let's see if we got anything else trending. I think that's it. That looks like all the topics we have to talk about. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything else worth talking about right now. That's been the entire show today, folks. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Again, please remember to like, smash the follow button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the show. I appreciate everyone who tunes in for the entire show. Even if you just tune in for part of it or half of it, I still appreciate you. I love speaking about this stuff. I'm very passionate about this political movement, about America First. I love my show, America Unfiltered. I hope more people keep tuning into the show. We're getting a lot of new viewers. On YouTube and Rumble, I've been kind of stagnant on viewers, but on Spotify, we're growing very fast, and hopefully with these new YouTube rules, we're able to grow a little bit faster. YouTube does not like to allow the pro-Israel or the anti-Israel narrative to get out there. They only want the pro-Israel narrative. And Rumble, it's harder to gain traction on Rumble as a newer streamer like I am. Rumble is great for people who got canceled off YouTube and then brought their audiences somewhere else. But on Rumble, it's a lot harder to get traction when you're newer, but it does work. And I have gotten some traction there, starting to gain more. But Spotify is where I'm growing the fastest. So to anyone listening on Spotify, anyone listening on YouTube, Rumble, anyone listening on Twitch, Kick, I stream this in a lot of places. I really appreciate you. I pray for all my viewers and listeners. I pray for your safety. I pray for your health, your success. Again, I appreciate you guys so much. This is what I want to turn my career into. I want to build a real career out of voicing my opinions in politics, and I eventually want to run for political office as well. I talked about that in my very first initial episode. Well, my views were a lot different than they were now. And it's not even all my views were different. A lot of my views I just didn't even speak about fully because I didn't realize what you could and couldn't say. I was really nervous of like when I first started this of like getting canceled and bringing, my friends and people close to me into that. But I've realized over time, it's like if all they have to throw at you is calling you a racist, misogynist, anti-Semitic, asshole, and they don't actually debate you on the substance of the topics, it's like, okay, I would be losing if I didn't actually just talk about these things and voice my real opinions about them, because these people have no real argument to combat the evidence to show that America First is the truth. America First is inevitable, and America First will happen. And when people try and debate America First policies, they lose almost every time, because anything besides America First is putting other things over America. And as Americans, we should not do that. America First is not rooted in hate. It's not rooted in disgust and despising people. It is wanting America First policies, wanting America to put the American government to put Americans over everyone else. That's what it's about. It is about not wanting foreign nations to be able to lobby our politicians, not wanting Americans to be replaced in their jobs and in the housing market. It is about wanting true American success, true American sovereignty, wanting Christian nationalism. Again, not everyone needs to go to church, not everyone needs to be super religious, but what does need to happen is we need the laws to align with the actions and the will of God, the intentions and the will of God. All the 10 Commandments are beautiful laws when you think about it. Like, again, we need laws that follow Christ. That's been my show today. Again, please remember to like, smash the follow button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the show. I appreciate everyone for watching. I hope you guys have a blessed day, a blessed night, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.